Hello, chat. Welcome to the show, baby. First and foremost, I need to flip my hat around. Oh, there we go. First and foremost, Todd, welcome back.
Thank you so much. God, I missed doing this, man. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little nervous getting on here. It's been a month.
It has. It has been a
It has
solid 4 weeks.
it has been 4 weeks since I have been on a Rally Towel Sports podcast, and I can tell you that my routine has been completely upended. And like getting ready for today, and like, oh man, feels great though. I'm so happy to be back.
Hell yeah. Well, we're happy to have you back.
Thank you.
So tell us all about it. How was the move? How's everything going so far?
Oh man, new house is great. So much more space. Declan has his own little playing area, which he absolutely loves. That he uses about 2% of the time. I mean, the whole house is his play area, so
Right.
whatever. Fenced in yard, which is dope. I missed having a yard, an
Oh yeah,
area
for
where I
sure.
could grill and not have people, or just hang out and not have people just staring at me as they're walking by. I mean, you know how it is on the in the
Right.
townhouse complex. Um, but the reason that it took me so long to get back to doing the podcast is because the underground lines for the internet to the condo were damaged. So
Crazy.
AT&T came out the day after we moved, and I was like, I'm gonna be on the podcast. I'll rather, since I moved on Wednesday, I didn't do Wednesday. I'll be on the podcast Thursday. So the guys come out on Thursday. AT&T comes out and goes, "You don't have internet lines." I'm like, what do you mean? These people before me had to have internet. There's no way that you'd live
Right.
without internet in 2022. And I'll explain that, how that felt, because this 2 weeks of not having internet, I felt like I was 8 all over again.
Yeah, I
Absolutely
mean, what do
insane.
you do?
I'll
Ryan's
tell
like,
you all
oh
about
no,
it.
you suck again.
I'll tell you all about it. So the city of Columbus had to send people out to dig and put in new underground lines. It took them a week and a half to get somebody out to do that, which at first they told me it was going to take 45 days. So I'm thinking, like, you might as well just boot me off the fucking team because I can't contribute anymore. But came out in a week and a half. I was able to get AT&T out on Friday, and it took them all day to get this shit set up. All day. So here's what I'll tell you. I never realized how reliant I was on having internet at all times than not having it. Like once you don't have it, you have no idea what the fuck to do.
Yeah,
I couldn't
absolutely.
watch I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't watch movies. I mean, like, we hooked up the DVD player and watched, like, I don't know, a handful of movies. I watched so much antenna television. I watched at least 100 episodes of Law and Order SVU.
Oh, I know the night I crashed on the couch, I woke up to it at like 4 in the morning, like dun dun, like
Yep.
oh
Yeah,
hello.
that's it. Dude, I got really acclimated to a channel called Ion that just
Yeah, nothing but
every
SVU
yeah, every day of the week they run
or
a different
NCIS or
show.
something.
Yeah, so it's like NCIS, Hawaii Five O, The New MacGyver, fucking Blue Bloods. I mean, it was horrendous. Like, I mean, fortunately we had a lot of shit to do because we were trying to get the place together. But oh my
Right.
god, like, I I mean, like, not having Wi-Fi or not having internet access caused me to not be able to, like, be on, like, look up stuff on my phone all the time because I'm relying on the cell phone towers that are completely clogged up in the city of Columbus. Because if you don't have 5G, which I currently don't on my phone, you it, a Google search takes a minute, and this day and age, that's 58 seconds too long. I can't
Yeah,
I
and
can't wait that long. I need instant
you're losing
gratification.
your shit.
So
Crazy.
it's incredible to be back. I have watched. We already watched all of Stranger Things because it came out. I mean, we watched. That's 8 hours of television that we watched in 2 days.
Hell
That's
yeah.
that's it. I mean, I missed binging television.
It's crazy. It's
It's nuts.
crazy to go live in a world where you don't have what we have right now, and like you realize, like, wow. Like we didn't have any of this, kids. Like
No. Well, that's the thing. Like the first sports that I got to watch was that Sunday, and it was on the USFL was on Fox, and then it rained, and then the antenna stopped working. So then I didn't get to watch sports at all. So it's
unbelievable.
bro, like watching the NBA Finals, that game one of the NBA Finals was so satisfying.
Oh
Just
man,
being
that
able
game,
to sit
game
down.
was lit too.
Yeah, I got to watch all of game two. Like I have missed being able to just sit down and watch sports. I wish I haven't been able to do. I feel terrible because this is the thing that I love to do is to talk about sports, and I'm literally playing catch up day in and day out. It's Greg, thank you so much. I'm so fucking happy to be back. You have no idea. The real benefit of all of this is that I've got to spend more time with Declan though, right? Like no TV to distract me. I'm not using my phone as much. Declan and I have like increased our bond tenfold, which is awesome, which makes me feel kind of shitty because like I realized how much I was on my phone because I would get home from work, be like, oh shit, I got to get ready for the podcast. And I'm just like information overloading myself. And then next thing I know, it's like 7:30 and I'm like, oh shit, I got to give you a bath. And I'm just taking him up to rushing him through all this shit. Like it was nice to be able to just like kind of slow it down, take it like the minimalistic lifestyle kind of in a way, I guess. I don't know. I have all the necessities, so it's not really minimalist, but just like I get disconnecting from technology. Like I really enjoy doing
perspective.
That. Absolutely. So that's a commitment that I made to Mary is that when I'm home, I need to actively be more available and more present. Like I didn't realize how little I was doing, or not how little. I don't want to make it sound like I was just a fucking bump on a log around the house. Yeah, but it was cool to be able to just like come home and like we now having a yard, like I would just take him outside and we'd hang out for like an hour. And it's cool. I guess that's the perk of having a backyard that's fenced in and not having to worry about him running out in the middle of a street, which was 99% of the worry. So it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. Well, speaking of game one was an absolute banger for those of you that watched it. I know Corey and I were covering it late Thursday. It was a pretty uneventful stream. I think everybody was just tied up watching the game, which I don't blame you. It was a hell of a game.
Awesome game.
Came down to the wire, but at the end, Boston pulled away, and there was so many interchanges that happened in that game. I think after halftime is when the game really got exciting. The Warriors had their typical half, their third quarter coming out of the locker room. They made it rain, and then Boston rallied in the fourth and came back from a 16-point deficit.
Yeah,
something crazy.
It was 13 or 16 points, and I dubbed that fourth quarter the Al Horford quarter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because
and Corey said it while we were on stream.
Yeah, so they get within 6 or they get within 5, and Al Horford scores 8 points in a row. Al Horford goes on an 8-0 run, and I think that was so cool because it verbatim at the beginning of the podcast before the game started. Corey's like, "What if Al Horford drops like 25? Like, imagine the impact that Al Horford has at dropping 25." And I'm pretty sure he had like damn near 25 points.
Yeah, he was 25, 20. Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah,
give or take a few.
And it was interesting too because the whole thing that I got from game one, and I don't know what you saw, was that Jason Tatum played poorly.
He played terribly.
And I actually think the opposite, because I think Golden State did exactly what they wanted to do. They forced the ball out of his hands and forced the ball into other people's hands. And what did Jason Tatum do? He distributed the ball beautifully. I mean, to me, game one shows that he is not just a scorer, but that he is a star. You know what I mean? Like
that was getting my point. Like scoring wise, he had a bad game.
Yeah.
But in the other statistical categories, he shined. He had double-digit assists. I mean, he was working the ball around, and although he couldn't get it going. I mean, Al Horford stepped up, a true veteran, stepped up, and when it's time to shine, it's his first finals game ever. And the dude comes out and wins game one for them basically in the fourth quarter. Like,
Right.
what I mean, unbelievable. I just got chills talking about it. Like, can you imagine, like,
Yeah.
game 1, like, your first finals ever, and you're the guy that gets it done? Like, I'm not saying
I
that
love it,
nobody
dude.
else on Cleveland didn't get or Cleveland, Boston didn't get it done, but he was definitely the deciding factor in that game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing for Golden State that and I just want to say this before we get because I know we're going to talk about game 2. Steph Curry had one of the best quarters of in NBA Finals history.
He had 21 points.
Yeah, he had 21 points in 9 minutes. He didn't even play the whole first quarter.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean
Absolutely
it
ridiculous.
was nuts. I mean the the way that he was shooting the ball in the first quarter, I was like, "Oh shit, Golden State's going to win by 30." And then everything just started kind of settling down for Golden State. And the thing that Boston did really well that Golden State didn't do well was that they were working well off of tough offensive plays, right? So what I mean by that is Golden State creates a contended shot, they grab an offensive rebound, and then they redistribute the ball. They set back up and they get back to the rim, or they get somebody open, 15 to 18 feet away. And Golden State had a hard time doing that, and they went back to what they falter to all the time. Let's just shoot threes, right? I mean
Right.
that's their game. That's what they do best. So I think it almost hurt them to a point where they didn't have any additional plan but to just shoot until they were ahead again. And
Yeah.
it didn't happen. And it didn't happen in the fourth quarter. Al Horford took over. They don't really have an answer um, in the post right now. I like Looney. I think he's a fine player. He played great in game 2. I think that's where I'm going to talk about him in a second. But um, he just didn't know how to guard Horford in game 1, and Al
Yeah.
Horford just took full advantage of being a veteran and understanding,
The situation.
yeah, being situational and knowing when to, yeah, okay, I got to flip the switch. Let's get it into gear, and he did. It's Al Horford quarter. I think it was great. That was my favorite part
Yeah,
about that.
I mean, he started a 16-0 run that the Celtics went on that ultimately put them up 12 points with like 3 minutes to play. They continued to stack onto that. I think they finished that run like 21-4 and closed the game
Yeah,
out. Um, just an unbelievable performance by Boston in game 1 on the road. And you could see how that game 1 performance from Boston impacted Golden State to start game 2.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
game 2, the start, Golden State came out extremely cold. They were, Steph Curry wasn't hitting a lot of shots. He had, from having the 21-point first quarter to I think maybe having 4 points in the first quarter of game 2. Obviously, not the start they were looking for. Obviously, they picked it up in the second, and then right after halftime, you could just tell that Golden State was just running away with that game. Clay was hitting, Steph was hitting. They were working the ball down low. Boston really couldn't get anything to go. Jaylen Brown had a decent game too, but and then you have Draymond Green, who was being a piece of shit the whole game, which is not a surprise.
No, Draymond's garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah, and look, I think the big variance here is that in game 1, Tatum had 13 assists. In game 2, he had 3. So and he shot 2 times more in game 2 than he did in game 1. Now, given he had 8 times the points that he had in game 1, or 3 times the points that he had in game 1, but
he
the
didn't get everybody involved.
right, he wasn't getting everybody involved. He wasn't being the distributor. He wasn't being the guy that they needed him to be. And then Marcus Smart got into foul trouble early. That hurt him. Once Marcus Smart gets into foul trouble, you lose your lockdown defender. You lose your guy that
To
covers
finish
the perimeter.
Steph down
Yeah,
or
and he
Clay
did
or
it,
whoever's
or
out there.
Clay, and he shot Clay. He shut down Clay games 1 and 2 when he was on the floor. Clay Thompson is shooting less than 20% from the 3-point line right now. He's been ice cold in these first 2 games. I can't wait to see
Which is
what
terrifying.
he actually. Yeah, I can't wait to see how he comes out tomorrow in game 3. I think that's going to be an integral spot for him to come out and be hot. But the good news for Golden State is that Jordan Poole was shot 5 for 9 from the 3-point line in game 2. And he did the thing that I had talked about him previously getting through the playoffs, the thing that I really wanted him to do, which was be the scorer, be the guy that you have to put the ball in his hands because he's the hot hand, right? You have to give Clay that opportunity and Steph that opportunity to break away from that. Because here's the thing, Steph Curry can shoot a 3 at any given time and he's like a career 37% 3-point shooter. So 3 of 10 times it's going in, right? Jordan Poole is almost a 40%. It's like a 3 or 4 percentage points higher 3-point shooter than Steph. And I think that Golden State this year, or Steve Kerr really figured out that Jordan Poole and Steph play a very similar style of basketball, and Clay is the shooter, right?
Right.
Because Jordan Poole has the ability to adapt to create a shot. Steph has the ability, we've seen it 1,000 times at this point, to adapt and create a shot. But Clay is a off the ball shooter, or he has to have the ball. He's off the pass shooter, right? That's how he makes his money. So
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
really interested to see how Golden State responds with tomorrow in Game 3 with Jordan Poole, and I'm also really interested to see how Boston changes their strategy defensively going into Game 3 to keep Marcus Smart out of foul trouble, because I think that was a big part of Boston not being able to come back after the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 2, differences in personnel. Gary Payton Jr. was back for Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
And then did Iguodala play? I can't remember.
You know what? I don't think that he did, but I think the person that played more for Golden State that has played decently or has done what he's needed to do in terms of when he's on the floor is Otto Porter Jr. He probably plays 12 to 15 minutes a game, but that's another veteran that gets out there and changes pace and is not Draymond Green. I cannot stress enough that Draymond Green is not Draymond Green from 5 years ago when they were going for the three-peat, and he was a real disruptor.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We all hate Draymond Green, but 5 years ago he was a beast.
But now he's just an asshole.
Right.
You look at him situationally within that game, and he is out there just to
get in their heads.
Yeah, get in their heads and figure out a way to disrupt momentum, right? And maybe you could say that he did that in Game 2, and he did it when they were playing Memphis too, right? I mean, he disrupted momentum, and he won him that game and Game 1, and then I don't know. I have a strong disdain for Draymond Green. I don't think that he's good for the NBA. I don't think that he adds any benefit to the NBA. I think
it's just more of a character thing for me. He obviously still has the talent to play at the level, but I think it's just a character thing for me and why I don't like him.
Yeah.
But
I just no, I just like I'm trying to figure out a way that I could say that I hate Draymond without saying that I hate him, because I don't hate the guy. I just think that he's bad for basketball. I don't think that that's a guy that you can sit down and watch a game and be like, all right, this guy changes momentum in a positive way.
Right.
He's not
you're not going to sit there and look at a player, somebody that you're coaching and be like, hey, go watch Draymond Green and watch what he does.
Yeah, he doesn't make his team better. I think that's the big thing. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at, is I don't think Draymond makes Golden State any better. I just think that he makes whomever they're playing a little bit worse, which I don't know if that's a benefit or not. I haven't decided yet what.
I mean, it's a good thing, for sure. I mean, if I'm the other team, Draymond Green is a problem for me because I know he's going to start shit. I'm going to be worried if my players can keep their cool. Especially with the way that he does things, and that may be a strong asset. Maybe that's exactly what they want him to do, right? But at the end of the day, I would rather see somebody play fundamentally sound basketball, and do it right. Do it the right way.
Right.
I just think he's a dirty player. So,
I agree.
But we got Game 3 tomorrow night, 9:00. Should be a good one. I will definitely be tuning in. Should be a exciting game. First game on Boston's turf. So we'll see how they handle it. If Golden State comes in and takes that game, it's going to be an uphill battle for Boston for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, who do you got tomorrow night? What's your projection?
Here's the thing. I got Boston in Game 3. I got Golden State taking it in 7. Bless you.
Excuse me.
I got Boston taking the first home game, and I think it's Boston by 10. That's my guess.
Wow.
I think that this is going to be a series of momentum shifting back and forth. The pendulum's going to be going absolutely bonkers, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, that's what makes the finals so great, right? Nobody likes to see a 4-game sweep. You want to see this thing go the distance. It's like a heavyweight fight. You want to see 15 rounds.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think is going to be the deciding factor for Boston winning tomorrow out at home?
Marcus Smart being on the floor 35 to 40 minutes. That's it. He only played 23 minutes in game 2. That's not enough time. That's not enough time
No.
for your best defender to be out there. I mean, your defensive player of the year has to be on the floor, right? Has to be.
Yep.
You win that award because you are proven statistically to be the best overall defender against any player you match up with during the course of the season. And when he's not out there, and you're facing a team of guys that can shoot at will and will shoot at will whenever they want to, you miss that. You miss that a lot. And
Right.
I think that he has to be on the floor. I mean, I think you saw in game 1 that he's a disruptor. Yes, it's a high scoring game. It's Golden State. Of course they're going to score a shit ton of points. But if Marcus Smart is out there, he's forcing the ball into hands of people that aren't going to be automatic, like Steph Curry in the second half, or maybe he shuts down Klay Thompson again and he continues to shoot poorly from the 3-point line. I think that's
Right.
another big part of
If you can shut
game
one of
3.
them down, it's a win.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm really interested to see how Boston. I think Boston responds really positively in the Gardens. I mean, that is you're talking about rich culture of winning. I mean, Boston is in the top 3 of that, right? I mean, the Celtics have won 11 championships, and it's you win them in the Gardens, right? That was always Red Auerbach's mentality, is that we win in Boston, and I think these guys kind of have that similar kind of blue collar approach. I think you look at the way that Boston plays and the roster that they have, it feels very blue collar. It doesn't fit the mold of the Golden States or the Lakers of this high dollar value franchise or high dollar value roster. Boston has guys that are still playing off of second contracts, and look, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could be getting paid a lot more. And I'm really interested to see how Jason Tatum responds to that once this part of his contract hits a new leg. Because I mean, that's a guy that you look around the NBA, he could be making $30 million a year. You know what I mean? And he's not.
Easily.
Yeah. So I'm really, really interested to see what this blue collar Boston roster does through the rest of the series.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, you alluded to it earlier. Marcus Smart in game 1, he was able to. The one thing I noticed was he was able to force bad passes, which created turnovers and transition points for Boston, which was huge. Catching the Warriors in transition, and I noticed that the Warriors were playing more to Boston's pace than the other way around. And I think that's the big key. So obviously defense is huge. But I think you alluded to it earlier. I think Tatum needs to get more involved in distributing as opposed to he needs to let the game come to him. That's right. Going to be the most important factor for game 3 for Boston. I've got Boston taking games 3 and 4 at home. I've got the Warriors winning game 5, and I've got Boston closing it out at home in 6. That's my projection. That's the reason why I said Boston in 6. I think they're going to get it done this year and take the Warriors down. But as far as total points tomorrow, I would probably say it's probably going to be 223 points. So it's going to be a high scoring game. I think Curry and Klay get it going early, and I think Tatum distributes the ball. He has at least 8+ assists. But Marcus Smart ultimately gets the job done, forcing bad passes and turnovers towards the end of the game. That's my.
I'd love to see the line in Vegas on a Jason Tatum assist dollar amount.
Yeah,
I think that would be great.
Saying 8+ dimes tomorrow. That's my. Greg, appreciate it, man. He says, "I like your prediction, Bob."
Man, what a nice guy! What a nice guy Greg is.
Oh, I appreciate you, big dog. Chad, this is Town Hall Tuesday, so if you guys have anything you want us to discuss this evening, please throw your questions in the chat. Basketball doesn't have to be the only thing we cover tonight. Obviously, the finals are going on right now. I know we've got some Stanley Cup finals going on right now too. I'm not too versed on that. So if you ask anything about that, I don't know if Todd or I are your guys, but
I don't think that the Stanley Cup hasn't started yet. I don't think,
you
right?
sure? I could have sworn that they started. Hold on.
Is that? Oh, is it the Lightning and the Rangers? Is that the Stanley Cup?
Oh no, this is the conference finals. Sorry, you're
Yeah,
right.
that's what I thought.
You're right. So we
Yeah.
got Rangers and Lightning, and then Avalanche and Oilers.
Well,
So let's see.
well,
Colorado
the
won. So
Avalanche. Yeah,
the Avalanche are in the Stanley Cup Finals. The Rangers are leading 2-1 in their series.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be a couple games.
I was
I
gonna
might
say,
I might actually turn that on after
there
we're
you
done
go.
here and check it out so I can educate myself a little bit on the ice.
Attaboy.
I understand the
Attaboy.
game. I know the rules. I know how it works. I've played enough NHL games to understand it. Played a lot of NHL hits back in the day. But
God,
I'll tell you
such a
what,
good game.
it's a great game. But no, I've actually played hockey games as well, like the traditional ones, and they are a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked them out, go play one. They're a lot of fun. But Todd, update me on the Reds. I haven't. I'm going to be honest, chat. I haven't been looking at them outside of when we were there for the bachelor party a few weeks back. I haven't been looking at them.
So here's the thing.
Because I just don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to get my hopes up because I know they're on a tear. They're playing well. Last I checked, they're not in last place anymore, which is great.
They
At
are.
least,
They are in last place.
not in the Central.
Have,
I just meant like they don't have the worst record in
overall.
Major League
Yes.
Baseball.
Yes.
So they're playing well with the ragtag crew and getting it together somewhat, but they're just going to fall apart after the All-Star break. So I'm not trying to get my heart broken again.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at the month of April for the Reds, tied for the worst start in franchise history. And then for the month of May, they have a plus 500 record, which they've only done 3 other times in their entire history of an organization. Have they been plus 500 in the month of May? They usually start off with on a tear in April. They usually cool down in May. They blow into June, get bananas. Then the All-Star break comes, and then things just fall apart in late July through August. And then by the time September rolls around, we're asking when the first Bengals home game is, right? That's how it's been for our lifetime.
Checks out.
Yeah. I mean, really, the Reds they're playing really good baseball right now. It's not there's not really too much downside to what they're doing. Tyler Stevenson is playing awesome. I mean, it's such I think there are a lot of skeptical Reds fans when they got rid of Tucker Barnhart because Tucker Barnhart had been so consistent in Cincinnati, and I think people
he was a great player for us for a long time.
Yeah, people really like consistency. They like the guy that goes out and does the right things, and Tucker Barnhart was that guy. And there were a lot of people that didn't quite understand Tyler Stevenson because he's just this young, very quiet, hasn't really done the get in front of the camera, be the guy for the face of the Reds. He didn't do that. And he was overshadowed a lot last year by Jonathan India, understandably so. He was the NL Rookie of the Year. But Tyler Stevenson, to me, has been the biggest bright light in what Cincinnati's doing. He's proving to me, and I stand by my opinion that he is the Reds' first baseman in 2 years when Joey Votto retires. But he's proving that he gets to stay in the lineup for a long time, which scares me a little bit too, because he's going to show his value in the next 2 years, and he's going to want to get paid. And I don't know if that Cincinnati is going to pay him because they're going to also have to pay Jonathan India. They're also going to have to pay Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo and Matt McClain when he comes up, and Austin Hendricks when he comes up. So I'm scared that he's the casualty of money, very similar to Jesse Winker, which if you're following baseball at all, Jesse Winker is playing absolutely fucking terrible. Seattle fans hate his guts right now. I think he might be hitting sub 200 now. He's played very, very poorly. He's lost them a couple of games. He's come up multiple times in winning situations and not pulled through. So Jesse Winker has not been a good addition to Seattle, but we also can't say if the trade is mutually beneficial because Justin Dunn is still injured, Brandon Fraley is injured, and the other guy that was a part of that deal is 4 or 5 years away from being and pretty much ready to be on a major league roster. So we'll find out soon if that deal was worthwhile. But Brandon Drury, I think I talked about him initially when we talked about how shitty the Reds were playing in the month of April. He leads the Reds in home runs. He has 10 home runs for a guy that wasn't supposed to be on your roster until 2 weeks before the season started. That's pretty damn good. The Reds have gotten really lucky with that 2 years in a row. Tyler Naquin was the same way last year. I don't know if you remember. Cleveland let him go like a week before opening day. The Reds signed him, and then he had a crazy month of April, and he kind of cooled down after that. So I'm hoping Brandon Drury can stay consistent. The upside is that Donovan Solano, Jonathan India, and somebody else. I just lost it. They're all doing rehab. Or Jose Barrero. They're all doing rehab starts tonight in Louisville. So at least 2 of the 3 of those guys are for sure in the starting Reds lineup. I don't know where Jose Barrero I don't know where his spot is on the roster right now with how well Matt Reynolds has been playing, the guy they signed off of waivers. Again, how well Brandon Drury's been playing. Alejo Lopez has been good off the bench. Kyle Farmer's playing well. That infield is very crowded. We were talking about how ridiculously crowded the outfield was, and it's actually kind of flipped in the other direction. The infield is super crowded right now, and I think the big thing, and I'll ask you this question, is what happens when Mike Moustakas comes back? What do you do with him?
It's a good question. I mean, if I'm them, I might just work him in as a DH. I might just have him. I might just have him be the designated hitter moving forward. I mean, I think there's more risk to get re-injured out in the field than there is at the plate. Right. And with him being very injury prone, you want to get the most bang for your buck with him. So I think you throw him in the starting lineup as a DH. That would be my play if I was manager.
So I actually think the Reds are going to be immediately looking to get rid of him once he comes back and he's active and healthy. Yeah, I think that he's on a very short list for Cincinnati. You can't help injuries, and I think a lot of people blame Mike Moustakas for having such a shitty contract. But when the Reds signed him from Milwaukee, he had just come off a 30-30 season and played 150 games for the Brewers. Like that contract when they signed him in 2000 after that 2019 season was brilliant because you actually got him for much less than what his statistics said in terms of dollar value. I mean, he hit over 260. He hit 35 home runs. He had 33 doubles. He knocked in 95 runs. And he made less than 10 errors. That was a great sign for the Reds going into the 2020 season. But you can't say if it's been a good. I mean, you can only say it's a bad sign because he's been hurt the whole time, and you haven't got to see him do anything. He hasn't been healthy. I don't think he's played more than 55 consecutive games for the Reds. And that's including the COVID season. That sucks because I think that he does have the ability to produce very well and be that DH role that you're mentioning. Because I think if you're going to implement the DH role, and Cincinnati is going to have to find somebody that does that, and they can't keep platooning that. I think that's kind of one of the issues they run into in the lineup is that they're platooning DHs, and it's kind of created some inconsistencies on the flow of the lineup. But I think that I don't think you'll see him or Luis Castillo in a Reds uniform by the end of June. I really don't. Luis Castillo is coming back healthy. He's pitched well. He hasn't pitched great. He's pitched well. Right. He's still throwing mid to high 90s. He still has an unbelievable changeup. And there are a lot of teams in the American League that would love to have Luis Castillo on their roster. There are a lot of that American League. If you look at it, it is New York and then it is everyone else right now. And that's going to get chipping away closer and closer and closer. And by that All-Star break, you're going to have 5 or 6 teams fighting for those bottom spots. And I think that's where Luis Castillo lands. I really wouldn't be surprised to see him in a White Sox uniform by the time the All-Star break rolls around. I projected early on that I thought he was going to go to the Angels. The Angels have lost 12 games in a row, and they just fired Joe Madden today. So they have a lot bigger fish to fry than trading for Luis Castillo. So
Sure.
very interested to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, thank you for liking the video. What's up? How are you this evening, sir? Greg, Brian, thanks for
Brian.
liking the video. Sorry, I'm not getting all the notifications for the likes, so apologize if I didn't shout anybody out that liked the video. Brian, what's going on tonight, bro? You got any questions for us? Any hot takes? Anything you need us to dissect for you? We're just talking about the Reds and how they're ultimately going to be a disaster and trade away some awesome pieces. So, but no, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think the best deal for them as soon as Moose gets healthy is to deal him. You know, I think if they can't find a spot for him, he's going to land and end up as the DH just so they can try to keep him somewhat healthy and try to, try to get something out of him. Castillo is definitely gone. I don't see any reason that the Reds keep him. They could probably get some really good value for Castillo on a team that's going to, especially AL, that's going to need him in that race, like you said. So, about to throw some steaks on the grill? Hell yeah. Women, can you give me some insight? No. Can't. If anybody had that figured out, bro, they'd be a fucking billionaire.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I lucked into my situation. So like I just kind of do whatever she asks me to do, and that seemed to have worked for me for the last 6 years. So
yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, I think that is the that's the unanswerable question.
Right.
Because there's no two it's like a snowflake. There's no two women that are alike.
It's very true.
And it's hard to decipher how to get through that. And you can only swipe right for so long, Brian. That's what I learned. My thumbs got sore. My thumbs got sore. Yeah, you can only swipe right for so long.
Oh shit! I've got a few rules. Do what they ask you to do. Be a good lover, and that's it. Those are my rules. That's
it. You said be careful
listen,
what I said.
And listen. That's the third one. 3 rules. Which the third one reverts back to the first one. So listen twice, boys.
Oh shit, that's funny.
But yeah, so I am so looking forward to tomorrow night's game. I can't remember the last time I was excited to watch a game. Maybe probably the Super Bowl. It's probably the last time I was that excited for a professional game.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah, my team wasn't even in it. And I was like hyped up and ready to go because you were so hyped up. It was pretty dope. But Chad, if you're just getting here, make sure you like the video. If you guys have any questions or anything you want us to break down, let us know. It is Town Hall Tuesday. I need to figure out how Corey gets the likes to show up on stream on this one because I can't figure it out.
Here's a question for you. What do you think? What do you think about Dustin Johnson leaving the PGA Tour?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
when did that happen?
Today. He resigned from the PGA Tour today.
Really?
Yeah. So he's doing the LIV Golf Events Championship Series with Phil Mickelson. Yeah.
They must have offered him some fucking cheese.
So he didn't say that per se, but I think something that Dustin Johnson said in his interview, or something that I read that he said during an interview that tells me that he's getting paid a lot of money, at least in the short term, is that I'm going to the LIV Golf Events Championship Series, whatever they're calling that thing now, because it's the right plan for me right now. So like, here's what I compare that to. Imagine if, let's say, Josh Allen says, you know what, I'm actually going to go play in the XFL next year because that's the right plan for me right now. And then in 2 years, he's back in the NFL. That's what I think Dustin Johnson is going to do. Because the PGA, their Professional Golf Association, has said that they're allowing people to kind of get into this advent to see how it goes, right? Because the PGA is not a monopoly; they don't own professional golf.
Right.
You can't do that. You can't do that. There's no such thing as monopoly in capitalistic society anymore. So I'm very interested to see what Dustin Johnson actually does for the long term. I think this is a short-term ploy to make as much money as he can. And then maybe he just, because he's been on the PGA Tour for what? It's got to be close to 15 years now, right?
Yeah,
That
well
he's
over
been a
a decade.
professional. Yeah. So who's to say that he just does this for a couple of years and makes it, I don't know, 25 to 30 million dollars after the close to 3 digits that he's made and on the PGA Tour and goes, I'm good. Wayne Gretzky's daughter is my wife, so I'm good. I'm just gonna have some
Right.
kids. I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna just become an investor. That's I could foresee him doing
So
that.
yeah, that's crazy. He is an unbelievable talent. Multiple time. What am I looking for here? Major champion. He's won double digit amount of times on tour. He's well known for some antics off the course as well. But he seems to have gotten all that figured out. Todd gave us a visual representation of what he's known for. Yeah, that's really interesting. I would be interested to know how much money he got to leave because the dude's not leaving for free. So,
what do you think they paid Phil Mickelson? And let me follow that up with another question. Does that pay off his gambling debts?
I don't know because I don't know what his debts are, but I know it's a lot.
$33 million, I believe, is what he's in the hole gambling wise. That's what he had spent and on gambling in his lifetime. Which
that's unbelievable.
That's probably a third of what Michael Jordan has spent. Probably maybe even a fifth, but that's a lot of cheese.
That dude's got billions, dude. That dude has gambled probably half $500 million.
He is worth $2.2 billion according to the Forbes list. So
yeah, he's probably gambled at least 500 mil. But Brian said, "Got to get to cook and see y'all. Have a great evening." Hey, Brian, thanks for swinging in, brother. We appreciate
enjoy those
stopping
steaks.
by. Enjoy those steaks, my man. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, good for Dustin. It's something new. It's something different, right? We don't know exactly how it's going to work out, so it's going to be interesting to see, 6 months from now, 8 months from now, what that looks like. Is this something that's ultimately trying to compete with the PGA, which it sounds like they are, since they're trying to get some big names, and obviously they've reeled in a few with Mickelson, obviously on the back end of his career, and DJ, who is probably just out of his prime. Obviously still playing some great golf, still ranked top 20 in the world, playing excellent golf. So it's really I need to do some more research on it, to be honest. I don't know much about the LIV, but I would love to know more about it. So I'm going to dig into that and get back to you on that. But like I said, I'd be interested to see how many commas were or how many numbers are in that figure.
And so while you were explaining that, I just Googled the LIV golf, and it's a super golf league. That's what they describe themselves as on Google.
Golf league.
And their slogan is "Welcome to Live Golf, where we exist to supercharge the game of golf."
Supercharge the game of golf? Is that what you said?
Supercharge the game of golf. So they're going to be playing in London, and then Portland, Bedminster, and Boston. That's their first 4 slotted events. And then they play in Chicago, Bangkok, Jeddah, and Saudi Arabia. Which
all over the world. That's going to be tough. It's going to be tough on the body.
Yeah. So for those of you that are wondering what is Live Golf, it is a Saudi Arabian-backed professional golf league. It was kind of what created the exploitations of Phil Mickelson at the forefront of all of this and brought his gambling woes to the forefront. Was him basically kind of. So I think Dustin Johnson did it right. He resigns from PGA. He joins this, right?
Right. He didn't try to do it behind their backs like Phil did.
Right. Phil was shisty about it. He was supporting this prior to leaving the PGA, which when you sign into the PGA, you sign a no competition clause, basically.
Non-compete.
Like you can't non-compete. Thank you. But yeah, so then they finish the season of events in South Beach. So from my count, that is 7 different countries in 4 months. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot on the body.
Article came out 6 hours ago. Phil Mickelson acknowledges reckless gambling addiction amid live golf uproar. He reports that he has lost $40 million.
40 million. That's a lot of cheese. A lot of cheese. And the first event for live golf is actually this weekend in London.
Wow. All right, so Phil Mickelson is quoted by saying, "My gambling got to a point of being reckless and embarrassing. I had to address it, and I've been addressing it for a number of years and for hundreds of hours of therapy. I feel good where I'm at there, my family and I, and have been financially secure for some time." Basically saying, go fuck yourselves.
hey, I got money. I got money. Don't worry about me.
Right.
So
I can blow 40 million and we're still set for life.
So this is very interesting because it's team events. It's team competitions. It's not individuals.
Yeah. I'm going to dig more into this here.
There's some big names in here. Sergio Garcia is in the LIV. Oosthuizen is in it.
Okay, so this is actually it's not live. It is the Roman numeral for 54, the number of holes in each tournament.
Oh.
It is also the score a player shoots if they birdie every hole on par for a 72 course.
Shows how much I know. Are they calling it 54 then? 54 golf?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Because if you look, everything is announcing it or pronunciating it as live.
What is live golf? Why is it called live? This is on the Athletic. Live is the Roman numeral for 54. The number of holes in each tournament. It is also okay. So that's where that comes from. So it's the 54. It's the 54. 54 Golf International Series. It's technically what it is. Interesting. Interesting. Huh.
The CEO of Live Golf is Greg Norman.
It's Greg Norman. Yeah. This is on golf.com. Live Golf updates, breaking news. Phil Mickelson appears, tour resignations, U.S. Open rulings. Let's see here. There's Phil.
Saw Chase Koepka on that list too.
Brooks Koepka?
Chase Koepka. Brooks Koepka's brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that dude existed until now.
Yeah, he played in the Pro-Am a couple of years ago. Made a little splashy splash. And there's actual amateurs that play in this too, that qualified for this for this first inaugural event in London.
Right. So I guess Kevin Na's there too.
Yeah.
Wow. They're not just. They got Kevin Na, they got Dustin Johnson, they got Phil. Wow. Okay. So that, I mean, this is like a serious thing. The PGA Tour is losing some big names.
Yeah, because this Live Golf is paying big money for these guys to do this.
Wow. 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 There's draft picks in golf. They had no, like seriously, they have the Live Golf draft pick, first ever Live Golf
Yeah,
draft pick.
yeah,
So they're trying to make this like a team oriented, like
yes.
that's honestly that's pretty freaking cool.
I think it's a good idea.
I'm not gonna lie, like this would make people that don't like golf like golf.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If you are a normal sports fan that doesn't understand golf, that you can get behind this, and
Wow,
all you
you
have
know.
to
All right, so
you could be a Crushers Golf Club fan.
right. Okay, so some big names here. You've got Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, Kevin Na, Martin Keimer, um, Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, Louis Oosthuizen. Like these are all guys that played in the Masters. Graham
Yeah,
McDowell, Taylor
Sergio
Gooch,
Garcia
Sergio. Holy smokes! I mean,
and
they got some big names here, chat.
Sergio left the Masters guns a blazing too. I mean, I'm sure you heard that too, right? Just he basically badmouthed the PGA as
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
walking out.
He's always been kind of a dick in my eyes, but
Yeah, that's true. He always has been kind of he's always played that asshole villain role in the PGA.
yeah, wow. So that's real. Honestly, like I didn't read much into it, but that's pretty cool.
I know
It's
what you're
kind
gonna
of
be watching this weekend.
yeah. I'm watching that fucking golf tournament.
I'm very interested to see how it's broadcasted because it's a team event, right?
Yeah,
So
like I want to know how it breaks down. I mean, I guess
yeah,
it's just Saturday, Sunday. It's 2 days, 50, no, I'm sorry, 54 holes is 3 days, excuse me. 3 days, wow, okay. You just kind of rocked my world right there. I had no idea like what that
thank
was.
you,
I knew people were leaving for it. I didn't know I didn't read into it. Like now
thank
I'm
you so much.
excited for it, honestly, because I think it's going to get more people interested in golf, whether you like the traditional sport at the PGA Tour level, because it kind of reminds me of the um, what the hell is that the tournament over um, the teams where like USA and Britain, like what's that
Oh,
tournament called?
oh shit! I'm having a brain fart.
Why chat help me out? What is that tournament called? It's not the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, thank you.
The Ryder Cup. Yeah, and I like the Ryder Cup. I think the Ryder Cup's really exciting to watch. You've got like the singles, the stroke play. You've got the alternating shots. You've got the match play. Yeah, it brings a different dynamic too, as opposed to just watching dudes hit golf shots around, which for me is incredibly exciting. But there's not a lot of people that are into that. So that's really cool. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm surprised you didn't know more about it. I'm glad that I could share some insight with you on that because I figured you'd be all over that. It's actually been one of the things. It's one of the things that I actually read up on before we got on here.
Oh, okay.
Was this whole thing because I'm very interested to see because nobody's ever gone up against the PGA, right? Like it's always been this really.
You've kind of got the minor
thing.
leagues with the Corn Ferry Tour,
Right.
and then you've got the PGA, and then you've got the one for the older gentlemen. I don't remember what it's called.
The Senior PGA Tour.
Senior PGA Tour.
Yeah,
there's a name for it, but I can't remember what it is.
There's not really been anything that's competed with it, right? And I'm really interested by that as a whole because we're starting to see more and more of that across the United States now than we ever have in our lifetime, at least. And there's going to be 2 competing professional football leagues next year. You have alternative.
Because there's still money in it.
Yeah, there's alternative professional basketball leagues now. You have like the tournament that they do every year now, where a team wins $1 million. They have the Big Three, or TBT is the basketball tournament. That's former non-current NBA players get to play in a tournament together. The Big Three is retired NBA guys. You have the Ignite League. You have all these things, all these leagues that are competing with these big leagues, and maybe it's not the same in terms of total revenue, but like if you are say you are a huge golf fan and you and you're unhappy with what happened. Let's say you're on the side of Phil Mickelson. I don't think there's a lot of people that feel that way, but let's say that you are. And now you have this alternative thing. It's the same for football, right? Say you really hate Roger Goodell. Like you really, really hate Roger Goodell. You don't want to support the NFL anymore. Well, now you have the USFL, and that next year you'll be able to support Dwayne the Rock Johnson, right? And the point I'm getting at is that there's none of that for baseball right now. There's no alternative professional baseball league, and
No.
you can't, right? You have to go international to do something like that because it spans such a long period of time. Plus, every single state, basically in the continental United States, or let's say 2/3 of them. Um, but it sucks for baseball because baseball just loses fans, and then they just stop watching baseball and they stop caring about baseball.
Right.
Whereas for these other sports, at least you have something that you can be. That's your outlet. So I'm interested by that. I think in the last 5 years we've seen a huge surge of attempts at professional sports that we haven't seen in a really really long time, really ever in our lifetime. I mean, we saw the XFL for 1 year. That was a fucking charade. That wasn't really anything real. You know, the USFL back in the 70s and 80s was what it was. It didn't exist very long because the NFL got so big so quickly. It's really been since the ABA competed with the NBA, right? That's the last time there was like a real
Yeah.
genuine competition. But I really do firmly believe that this new golf organization can compete with the PGA because I think that people still cling to team sport over individual athlete.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of baseball wise was like maybe like the Negro leagues, like back when they had that, and then they had Major League Baseball. That's really it, though.
Yeah,
Um,
and that was because there was a lack of acceptance. That wasn't a
right, and
that
that
wasn't a
that was
money
that
thing.
was that was for bullshit reasons, but
Yeah,
um, yeah, whatever. But yeah, I mean, you can't. There's, you know what I'm most interested to see. I'm most interested to see how many players from these, let's say just off-brand professional sports leagues actually get brought into, a professional organization. Not that the other ones aren't professional. I'm just talking like major leagues like NHL, MLB, NBA, things like that. I'm interested to see because there's a lot of talented guys that leave college and don't get drafted and don't find a spot. And that's who you're going to see in these leagues. You're going to see all these guys that still have the ability to play and want to play, now have an opportunity to go out there and do that, and still continue to grind on that road to making a professional team in their sport of choice, which is really exciting.
I agree. I agree.
But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how the XFL does this year. I know that their first year was a charade, and then COVID hit, and then they kind of disappeared for a little bit. But I guess they got their funding back. So
Well, the Rock bought into it.
yeah,
That's why. And that American Alliance League just didn't work because there wasn't enough funding for it. There wasn't enough backing. The USFL works because Fox backed it substantially, and it can support a couple of years of no ticket sales. The American Alliance League just didn't have enough appropriate funding to back the lack of ticket sales, and then you're paying for space that belong to other people, right?
right.
The caveat is that Birmingham has a USFL team and they're playing all these games in Birmingham. The USFL owns that stadium. So really they're still making some revenue off of that. And then they're just sharing it with UAB and there's somebody else that plays there too. But I am very interested to see, and the Rock's a good businessman. Clearly, I mean, look at his branding with Under Armour. I mean, he's created a whole gym workout phenomenon with all of his attire, whether it's funny or not. But I'm he's already done a lot of good things. I mean, he's testing rules for the NFL, which I think is brilliant. I mean, that's what better way to get your foot in the door for one of the biggest, most highest revenue organizations in the continental United States, but to be their guinea pig. And I think it's a really good opportunity to maybe provide full-time positions to referees. You're giving them multiple seasons of the same sport with similar rules, and you can actually pay them to be full time and make them better. I mean, that's been one of the biggest things that we've talked about on this channel, right? Is really, really poor officiating from the collegiate and the NFL level, just solely based on lack of commitment to making referees better and giving them the training and what they need. Corey James, what's up, sir? Thanks for popping in. I'm so happy to be back here. But I think that we're just seeing the beginning of what organizations, if they're willing to share what we can do for the sport fan base, right? I think that football is a good one for it, because again, I think there's still a lot of gaps in kind of the intricacies of football, specifically the officiating and integrating rules and making the rule change accordingly. But yeah, I think football's a good one for it. Like I said, I think this live golf thing is awesome. I love it for golf. It makes me more interested in it. You know, I like golf. I'm not a huge golf guy, but I'm tuning in this weekend for sure. Like
Yeah,
I want to see how this rolls downhill, and I want to see a guy like Dustin Johnson go out and absolutely dominate the course. I want to see a guy that I've never heard of before go out and go bananas. Like, I think it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be interesting. Corey said, "I kiss you." I typed, "I miss you," but I didn't want to change it.
No, you didn't. You did exactly what you wanted to do. Oh, I caught it.
But no, so that tournament's going to be live starting, I believe, Friday. So it's definitely going to be very, very, very exciting to watch. It's obviously a whole new dynamic for golf, and it's going to be like Todd said, it's just bringing another dynamic to it. It's just, you know,
I'm here for it.
A lot of people think golf's boring, and I don't blame you, as I understand where you're coming from. It's just guys walking around a green patch of grass and hitting a white ball, 500 yards away into a hole, at the base level. But when you understand how much skill and precision that takes, it brings your viewership to a different level.
Yep.
So if you don't watch golf, I would suggest going to try and play it and then come back and watch golf and then realize how amazing what is happening in front of your eyeballs. But Corey, tuning in from good old KC. How's the barbecue? How's the food? How's the wife? I know you got her out there with you. Tell us all about it. If you got anything you want us to break down for you this evening, sir. We are a little bit over an hour into the show, so we'll be wrapping it up here in a little bit. But yeah, I'd love to hear if you got anything for us to cover, sir.
Dude, this Deshaun Watson thing keeps rolling further and further and further downhill.
Oh yeah, I saw the tweet you guys sent me earlier today.
Ooh, boy.
Crazy. Deshaun Watson booked appointments with at least 66 different women in a 17-month span. The Texans also provided Watson a venue and NDAs for masseuses to sign. Watson's camp denies any wrongdoing. What? The Texans provided him places to fuck and paperwork to not get in trouble.
For them to not get in trouble.
For them not, yeah.
It's not about just I think it's the Texans a little bit protecting an asset, right? But that's the NDA is for them. It's not for him. If people have their truth, they're gonna tell their truth, right? It's just a matter of time. But man, Cleveland Brown fans, that's a lot of money for a guy that probably isn't going to play this year or maybe ever. I don't know. Because guess what? He already got paid. That money was guaranteed.
He's getting paid one way or another. They're gonna have to eat that $300 million. Any way you slice the pie.
Right
he
now,
plays. He doesn't play.
Baker's he's just in the dog pound, just taking cleats and just digging up that Browns logo. That's what I just imagine, because he's so petty, I just imagine that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah,
but I just want to sit like it sucks for Browns fans. I don't want to get into the whole involvement of it. It just really sucks for Cleveland Browns fans right now. You're in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson's in a much worse spot, but you're in a bad spot.
Yeah. So
Also, the Houston Texans are in a bad spot, but
correct.
whatever.
I mean, yeah, they're also in a bad spot, from a moral perspective, one, a legal perspective, two. Morally, that's fucked up. Secondly, I would love to know the finer details of this contract, if it is all strictly guaranteed or if there was clauses in there on whether or not he actually had to play X amount of that contract. Because I don't think the Browns are just giving away $300 million.
Well, most of it was a signing bonus.
But does he get that signing bonus when he plays a game? Because if he doesn't play, I can't imagine they have to pay that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of it. Maybe I could look into
I
that.
don't I don't think they're. I mean, it is the Browns, but I don't think anybody's front office is that ignorant to hand over that that type of money, without having a CYA agreement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I follow you.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if the details of that contract are public or not. I would love to read it if they are.
I don't think so. I don't think they can share that publicly.
I can't imagine it would be. But but yeah, I mean, so the Browns, so is what going on right now? Is that a clear indication that Deshaun is not going to play and Baker will start?
I don't know. I think they just end up dealing Baker and Jacoby Brissett starts. I really think that's what happens in the long term. I still feel like that's the case. Because even if Deshaun doesn't play, and say that they don't have to pay X amount of dollars to Deshaun Watson, whatever it is, they're still going to pay Baker $18.5 million or $19 million, whatever that is. That's a lot of money too. And if he takes a snap, he gets that money basically. That's pretty much the gist of the option. So I think they still end up dealing him. I think that they'll be willing to eat more to get rid of him because I think every team is just waiting for them to cut him. That's what they want. They want him to be cut, and then he's cheaper. They don't want to trade for him. You don't want to give anything up for a guy that, your organization kind of shit on you, right?
Right.
Historically, that's not a good look for a quarterback. But yeah, Cleveland's in trouble, man. It just, as a Reds fan, we talk about how unlucky we are. Browns fans are really unlucky. Aaron, real sorry. You're super unlucky.
You're a trooper.
I mean, the Cleveland fan base is so loyal, and I don't like the Browns, I don't like the Cavs, whatever, but I respect the fuck out of their fan base because they're through it, tried and true, through the 10 million miles of dog shit that they've had to walk through since the Browns have been reinstated as an organization in the NFL. It's been a tough run.
It's been a complete train wreck.
And there's been a lot of times where you're like, Cleveland, this is their year. This is where they make it. This is where they turn around. They made all the right moves when they were going 1-0-16, 1-15, whatever they were doing year in and year out after the oh my God, what was that quarterback's name? His last name was Anderson when they went to the playoffs. His last name was Anderson. Doesn't matter. But I mean, since then they haven't been very good. And then you draft guys like Myles Garrett, Baker Mayfield. You trade for OBJ and Jarvis Landry. You draft Nick Chubb and you get him on a sweet contract. And then you get Kareem Hunt, who's on a do or die. You're like, holy shit, they're putting all this together. They draft Denzel Ward. There's all these things. It's like, this is great.
Do something.
Injuries, suspensions, Deshaun Watson. You're like, oh shit, that's crazy. Maybe it's not so bad. And I think it's actually gotten worse since he's been signed with the Browns. Actually, I know for a fact this is worse now for him than it was before because at least the civil suits were thrown out. Now it's just all the shit's coming forward. True or not, it's just like the Trevor Bauer circumstance. Like, you have no respect for the guy anymore.
No,
right?
None whatsoever.
I don't know. It's Cleveland fans. Sorry. That's it. That's what I got to tell you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
And
tough sledding up there. The Guardians obviously are not doing anything productive. The Cavs are in shambles, and the Browns are imploding as we speak.
well, at
So
least the Cavs made they made waves. They played better than what people expected them to play,
they
which is
did
good. This is a good sign, and they're not bogged down by bad contracts. I mean, they really are a young team, so maybe that's worthwhile. The Guardians, they just don't want to spend any money. That's fine. We're in the same boat with them. Actually, again, Cleveland's a little bit worse because they literally did
zero.
nothing. And Jose Ramirez took less money to stay there, which is absolutely insane. The dude could have gotten $250 million somewhere else with the way that he plays year in and year out. But he took less money to stay in Cleveland because he's loyal to the Guardian fans, which is what he said. He said, I'm playing for the fans. I'm not playing for the team, which I think is dope because there's not a lot of players that do that anymore. Yeah, Cleveland. I just can't say I can't say enough. I'm real sorry. I'm real sorry. I'm real sorry. It's hard up there right now.
Yeah, it's hard up there for a fan. That is for sure. Well, chat, do you guys have anything else for us this evening? Any other brain busters before we wrap it up here? I can't say that I have anything other than I'm really excited for tomorrow night, Game 3, 9:00 Eastern Time, in the Garden, NBA Finals. Tons of young talent. I mean, it's the new faces of the NBA. You know, with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You know, not the new the faces, just the new some of the faces in the NBA, obviously. But yeah, it's going to be
I
interesting.
believe the kids call this Liddy Titty.
Is that the terminology? Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be Liddy Titty.
I'll remember that
Yeah.
for next time. Bet.
Oh shit.
All right,
Oh
chat.
shit.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. As always, Todd, Bobby, Rally Towel Sports will be live tomorrow night, 8:30, with some live coverage of Game 3 of the NBA Finals. See you tomorrow.